Yes, hi. Sorry, everyone. I think I got disconnected briefly there, but let me start it all over again. Okay, so welcome everyone for the top 10 strategies to score a 2,600 plus score in the UCAT. So this will be a very holistic masterclass, which will hopefully help you if you are aspiring medical or dental students to attain a top score in the UCAT examination. So yes, let's get started. If we can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, okay, great. So in this masterclass, we have an expert tutor. So we have Suraj here with us. He is a very highly qualified UCAT tutor who has over 5+ years experience in taking students under the UCAT examination. And I'm Ishita. I'm the co-founder here at SchoolUniGuide. Yeah, if we can go to the next slide. Yes, so we're also very lucky to be partnered with some amazing companies in the UCAT space here in the UK. So you will be hearing from two expert UCAT providers. So first we have MediBuddy. So MediBuddy is a UCAT prep platform which is founded by Alex Trevat. And alongside MediBuddy, we also have MedEntry, which is again a medical entry platform, and that is by Dr. Ray Boyapati. So it will be amazing to have some experts in this field share their inputs and their advice as well. So they will be doing that. Yeah, so the next slide is yes, so what's new in the UCAT? So as we know, the syllabus is quite often changing. I think you skipped a slide, but it's fine. We can look at the key objectives. So the key objectives is, yeah, Suraj, can we just go on to the key objectives first? Yes, okay. So the key objectives that we will be tackling in this webinar, what is the UCAT format for each section? So Suraj, our expert tutor, will be going through each of these sections that you will be examined under, and what are the key techniques in this. So there's different techniques for each section, which I'm sure you guys know about, and they all need to be tackled with a lot of thinking. So he will go through the master techniques for each sections. We will also uncover what are the top 5 mistakes that lots of students make, but what are the techniques to avoid these mistakes in the UCAT preparation. We will also be sharing some of our top smart time management strategies. As we know, the UCAT is under quite a time crunch. So we will be also go through some time management strategies, to improve your answer precision and also answer speed. We will also go through what are the cutoff trends for this specific testing cycle. And later we will also access our score calculator as well as our interview predictor and other free sources that us at SchoolUniGuide can offer you in order to help you with your UCAT preparation. Okay, great. Next slide. Yeah, so I will pass on to Suraj for this section now. So thank you very much, everyone, and on to you, Suraj.
Thank you so much, Ishita, for setting up the objectives for the entire session. Let me clarify one thing to each and everyone who is sitting here for the entire UCAT webinar. The first thing that we have to keep in mind is there are going to be around 4 sections that you have to cover within the UCAT examination. Earlier, there was one of the abstract reasoning section, which was also a part of the entire UCAT examination, due to which the entire score was around 36. But currently, the new total UCAT score is going to be 2700 because the abstract reasoning section has been removed from the entire examination. Now, with a new cutoff, there are going to be new strategies as well that we need to apply in all of these sections. Let us cover them one by one. At first, let us talk about the entire format of the examination. Within the examination, you will see there are going to be 4 subtests, which are all going to be computer-based tests. Then you guys are going to get 2 hours in total to finish off the entire examination as well. Within this, the 4 subtests that will be available to you will start from verbal reasoning, then you have decision making, then you have quantitative reasoning, and at last you are also having situational judgment as well. Now here, one thing is very clear, that UCAT is not testing you guys on whether do you know about the human physiology or not, or are you aware of the parts of the human body. Instead, they are testing you on these 4 techniques. And one by one, we'll try to understand what exactly is the outcome that they require within this examination. At first, we'll start with verbal reasoning, which has 44 questions, and the duration given for the entire examination here will be 22 minutes. Right after that, as you guys can see here, the time per question given is 30 seconds, and the scoring is going to be around 300 to 900. Now, it is very easy. If I tell you guys that you have a passage in front of you and you have the entire day to find out the solutions for it. But what is going to happen when I will ask you that you have to answer it within 30 seconds? Then the time pressure kicks in. And that is what we are going to learn, how exactly to tackle these type of difficult situation. Because as a doctor, you guys are also going to be in such stressful conditions. And there you guys are going to take the decision at a rapid pace where this timing is going to be required. Okay. So at first, let us talk about verbal reasoning here. Within the verbal reasoning, these are the speed techniques that you have to learn about. Okay. We will start with the understanding of the skim method, where you have to scan the entire questions first. And then you have to read the entire passage with purpose to identify what exactly is the question asking you within the text. Right after that, you also have chunking technique, where you have to group the entire meaningful sentence which is present there for the question, and accordingly you have to answer it for that. After that, we will also learn about keyword identification, where you just have to get to know about the word, and with the word itself, you will be able to identify what is going to be the correct answer there. And at last, we'll also talk about what exactly is this active reading. Now, let me show you one of the question here, which is going to tell us entirely about skim method. The number one tip that you guys have to follow within verbal reasoning section is never try to read the entire passage. Always go for the questions first. As I can see here, the question says the key difference between people living in areas such as the Eden Valley and people living in a town or a city is question mark. Then I will be focusing my shift towards the entire passage. Now, what do I need to identify? I have to search for Eden Valley, and it is rightly present in the passage number 1. Now, let us see how exactly we will try to understand the contrast between the two people who are living in this Eden Valley. If I show you, for this particular question, we correctly identified the passage, where passage number 1 was having the entire information in it. After that, if I read this line, which is people know their neighbors and almost treat them like a part of an extended family, unlike townsfolk, tells us a lot about what exactly is the difference between the two people who are living in the cities and within the people who are living in Eden Valley. If you look carefully, option number B talks about the willingness of the local residents, which are present here, and their entire willingness to organize and do something for others is going to be of the utmost importance. That is why option number B is the correct answer. So that's how I wasn't even interested in all of the options, and I was able to identify which one of this is going to be the correct one. So this is all about skim method. You just have to read through the passage right after you read the question. So this is going to be the tip number 1 for you guys. Now, let us quickly move on to the second method that you guys have to learn for today. And that is going to be your keyword identification and active reading. Now, let us quickly talk about this with the help of a passage. Whenever we are having a keyword identification, always remember, within the keyword identification, we will be talking about a certain set of words which will be available in the entire passage, which will be telling us and hinting us about the passage instructions as well. Okay. Now, let us talk about this keyword identification for this particular question which is present. If I look closely, I will be able to find out that within the passage, we have been given with entire text of 4 different passages, where the question asked to us is, which of the following is a false positive error? And these are the options given to me. Within option number 1, we are having some children at school have measles, so we can vaccinate ours. Right after that, in the option number B, we have only one child at school has measles, so it is not worth vaccinating ours. After that, in option number C, we are having our child has fever, so we must vaccinate him for measles. And at last, in option number D, we have our children have fever, but it is too late to vaccinate them for measles. Now, if I look for the entire passage, where exactly is the false positive error written? At first, you will be able to spot that within the first passage, we are having it at the last line, where false positive error is mentioned. Likewise, if I check for the fourth paragraph, there also you will be able to spot that false positive error is written. In these type of cases, you guys have to do the active reading. Within active reading, go through the entire paragraph which is present and try to highlight the important text from it. For example, from the first paragraph, if I try to write down all of the points which are mentioned, you will be able to identify. At first, the person is walking along the path through the jungle, and there he is hearing a rustle in the undergrowth. So this tells us about a scary situation that he might be in, present in the forest. After that, a pang of fear clutches at him. Another rustling sound, and you run down the path as quick as you can. Why did you do this? And the reason behind this is only because he was feared with a thought where he might be possibly attacked by a predator. Now, with the help of the active reading, where I just understood about some of the words like fear, like rustle, the undergrowth, then right after that, I also that he is running down fastly. So that also tells me about that the person is overreacting to a non-threat. And that is how, if I look for option number C, which said, our child has a fever, so we must vaccinate him for measles, isn't correct. He should have some symptoms of measles, then only I can take him to the vaccination. Otherwise, it is of no use. That is why option number C was the right answer there. Okay, now let us quickly move on to the next set, where we have to understand about decision making. Now, these are the 6 pillars which are present there for the decision making section. Within this, we are having logical frameworks, where we will start with syllogism, then we have Venn diagram, then we also have logical problems. We will also talk about assumption framework. Then we have interpreting information and probabilistic reasoning as well. Now let us quickly talk about this Venn diagram mastery and the syllogism. How exactly are they connected to each other? If I show you within this particular question, it says, not all the people present at the literature festival were poets. All the poets at the literature festival were authors. And there are some poets who were not storytellers. And you have to place all of the conclusions here within yes or no by the help of this particular text box, which will be provided to you within the examination. Now, in these type of cases, always try to make the Venn diagram as it is present here on my screen as well. I'll show you one of the examples of how exactly to create the entire Venn diagram for this particular question. So if I take you to the Venn diagram, this is how exactly it is going to look like. At first, you have the authors. Right in it, you are having poets. After that, you are also having a certain section of storytellers. Now, accordingly, you just have to check for all of the statements which are present here and try to locate whether the conclusion is going to be yes or no. Now, let us talk about the first two, and later on, you guys can go through the entire slide and try to find it out for the next 3, which are present here within the question. If I talk about the first statement given here, it says at least. Yes, so it says at least one storyteller at the literature festival was an author. If I try to locate it closely, out of the storyteller, where we are also having the authors, we will be able to locate this particular position, which signifies that there are storytellers who are authors as well. That is why this conclusion is going to follow. And there are a lot many instead of at least one. So that is why this conclusion is also going to follow here. Likewise, for the second one, it says at least one author at the literature festival was both a poet and a storyteller. Now, if I look closely for the authors, there are several number of authors which you will be able to find into this particular section where they are both poets and storytellers as well. That is why this conclusion also follows. That is why we are going to place a yes for this question as well. Okay. Likewise, you guys can also try these three and tell me the answer for these right after the class. Okay. Now, if I move on and talk about the entire framework that you guys have to use for the Venn diagrams, you will be able to see within the syllogism, we use Venn diagram to solve it. Right after that, we will be having some of the ways in order to solve the questions related to the logical problems. Let me show you one of the example of it. Just a second. Yeah. Yes. Now, if you have a question like this in front of you, where a several number of things are given at once. At first, you have been shown that there is a prize draw and there are two boys named Alec and Daniel. Right after that, you have been mentioned that there are three girls, Betty, Carol, and Edna, who are also present, and each one of them are picking a prize like pram and doll set. Then there are roller blades and chemistry set as well, along with teddy bear and jigsaw puzzle, which are given to you. Now, these are some of the following conditions which have been given, with the help of which you have to answer for this particular question. It says the pram and doll set was not picked out by a girl. If that is the case, then this pram and doll set must have been either given to Alec or Daniel. So this is the first conclusion that we were able to draw from the first statement. Right after that, we have Edna and Carol, who were disappointed when the roller blades were picked by one of the others. So it means Edna and Carol haven't received any one of this roller blade. Right after that, we also have the chemistry set that did not go either to Edna or Betty. In these type of cases, we are sure that chemistry set is not going to be given to such people. But for the last one, we have a quantity which is associated with Daniel. It says Daniel was quite amused when he picked the giant teddy bear as well. Now, if that is the case, if teddy bear goes to Daniel, don't you guys think Alec is going to have this pram and doll set? Because it was only going to go to boys. That is why Alec here receives the pram and doll set. After that, as you can see, Edna and Carol were already disappointed that they didn't receive roller blades. That means it went to Betty. And as Edna and Betty didn't receive chemistry set, so chemistry set will go to Carol. And that is how we will be able to figure out which one of the following can be the answer for Edna. Just by looking at the question and trying to approach the entire question with the logical way of solving this particular question using this grid systems. Okay. So likewise, you can create your own tables, place a tick mark present here for all of them. For example, for Alec, we already identify it should be pram and doll. For Edna, we were able to identify that we will be only left with chemistry set, that is to Edna. Likewise, for Daniel, we understood that he has already been gifted the teddy bear. So this and Alec is already defined. For Betty and Carol, we will be able to define with the other two statements. Likewise, you guys will be able to figure out the correct answer for Edna as well, who has got the chemistry set. Now let us quickly move forward towards the tip number 5 of today, where you guys have to use 3-step approach for any quantitative reasoning section. Within this, always try to read the question very carefully. In these type of question, we cannot skip even one of the variable which is given in the question. At first, we understood from the question, it is asking about the value of the display ad market in the year 1. And this year 1 is represented as Y1. It says the mobile advertising market comprises display, search, and SMS ad formats. Now the graph shows the change in the value of the display ad market from the previous year. And the share of search and SMS ads during a certain period is also given. Now in the year preceding Y1, the value of the display ad market was 1.2 million. You just have to identify what is going to be the value of the display ad market within year 1. And as you guys can see, this is represented by 250%. So 250% increase within this particular value of 1.2 can be calculated with a formula, which is original value added with the entire percentage change, which will be given for that particular time. So here original value was 1.2. If I do the percentage change on it, that is coming out to be as 250%, and 250% of the original value, which is 1.2, will give you the total nearly around 2.9. Okay, so accordingly, you guys will be able to calculate it. 1.2 times of 2.5 added with 1.2 again will give you the correct answer for this. So this is how you guys can also create your own formulas. And what I generally suggest to the students is, if it's a 250% increase, then they do not have to write it down as 250 over 100 times of 1.2. Instead, they can simply write it down as 2.5. In fact, for 2.5, you guys do not need to multiply it using the column method with decimals. Instead, what you can simply do is 2.5 is equals to 5 over 2. So if I write this down as 1.2 times of 5 over 2, I will be able to calculate it as 0.6 times of 5. Okay, so this is how you guys will be able to answer for these type of questions as well. Okay, now let us quickly move forward and talk about the next tip that you guys need to learn for the decision making section. And that is going to be making your own formula charts. What generally I suggest to my students is, whenever you find a new formula for yourself, try to make a separate column for it and try to always note down the question where you have used it. Because in that way, you will be able to remember where exactly it was written and where exactly have I used it earlier. For example, there can be some of the conversions that you guys need to do. If you want to convert the milliliters into liters, what exactly are you going to do? How are you going to reverse back? For example, here we are having volume conversion for the liters for 1 liter as 1000 milliliters, which is equals to 1000 centimeter cube. For reversing it, you will have to divide all of the numbers here. Likewise, the temperature. How will you convert degree Celsius into degree Fahrenheit? These type of some basic formulas should be written down at one place, and you should hang it somewhere near your study table so that you guys can go through it regularly, okay, till the time it is embedded in your head. Okay. Now let us quickly move on to the next slide and learn more about the situational judgment section. Now within this section, we have to learn one thing. Whenever we are having situational judgment, the marks are going to be dependent on my band. Now this band depends upon the answer quality that you have given here for all of these options. Now let us talk about this story, which is present on the left hand side. Okay, whenever you are reading the story, try to think it from the third person's perspective. Always try to bring the point of view of the third person here, because that is going to help you in solving the entire question. Now let us talk about this particular story which is given. It says Serena is a dental student who is shadowing a senior dentist, Mr. Wadit. Now Mr. Wadit is replacing a filling for a patient using a brand new tool. Now the tool is different to the one Serena conducted her training on at university. Now a few days later, another patient requires a filling replacement, and Mr. Wadit asks Serena to conduct the procedure while he supervises. Now, she is not confident in her ability because this is a new tool for her. Now, according to you, how important to take into account are the following considerations for Serena? And when deciding how are you going to respond to this situation is the question. Now, the question says that Mr. Wadid may not give her other learning opportunities if he finds out she is not familiar with using the latest tools. If that is the case, then anyone who is not aware about the new tools will never get a chance to make an impact in any of the fields. That is why the senior, who is Mr. Wadett, is going to help Serena out in learning the new tools and the outcomes related to it as well. And out of these options which are given here, starting from very important, important, of minor importance, and not important at all, I think D should be the correct answer for getting into the band 1. Because within the band 1, it is not going to be important to each and everyone for Mr. Wadett, who is not going to let her improve her learning at her pace. That is why D should be the answer. And for getting to the right answer, you guys also have to ask the right questions. At first, always remember patient safety must always come first. Right after that, remember that learning opportunities are secondary to patient well-being. If I talk about trainees, they should work within their competence level. After that, supervisors expect trainees to be developing, not fully skilled. We cannot have all of the doctors trained at the same level. On the first day itself, they won't be able to do the entire bypass surgery. They will require some of the tools and methods and also some of the skills with experience, after which they will be able to perform at their best. That is why we need to ask the right questions to ourselves, whether we are doing the justice to the entire problem which is given to us or not. Now, these are some of the important scenarios that you have to remember. Whenever you are trying to give the answer, be honest about your limitations, be it professionally or personally. After that, clinical supervisors are having the duty to support the trainees as well. They need to teach them and train them on the new tools. Okay. Now let us talk about tip number 8 for the day, where you also have to follow the GMC principles and their guidelines. Now let us talk about this particular question here. It says Ria and Nathan are the students who attend the same placements. They are in the same university. Nathan has chronic back pain that sometimes make it difficult for him to work. The school has agreed that Nathan can advise the school if his pain is too bad, and they will help them in rearranging the entire placement. Last week, Nathan did not attend a scheduled placement and he did not call the school to let them know until afterwards. The school told him that he would fail in his placement as a result. Now, these are some of the statements which are given for Ria in this particular situation. Now, according to you, how appropriate are each of the following responses by Ria in this situation going to be helpful? At first, Ria says, you cannot be too upset because you did not follow the rules. If I ask you guys about this, how will you feel if somebody came to you when you are at your lowest and somebody like Ria says that you cannot be upset because you forgot about the rules? You're going to feel sad about it, right? But do you think it is appropriate? Has Ria said anything wrong in it? This is what we have to consider while solving these type of questions. Either B or C could have been the correct answer, but as we can understand, it is inappropriate, but it is not awful at all. That is wrong. If she is saying this in front of her friend, then it doesn't make any sense. But it is not awful completely because he hasn't followed the laws. So it is her responsibility to tell him that he was responsible for his entire situation. Now, these are the key principles that you guys will be going through. At first, understand whenever you are using the very appropriate term, you are solving a key aspect in the scenario as well. Accordingly, if the entire thing is appropriate, but it is not ideal, it is a good thing to do, but they are having a lot of drawbacks as well within it. Right after that, we have the cases like inappropriate, but not awful. It shouldn't happen, but it isn't disastrous at all. This is what the option was given here for Ria as well within this situation that we have to remember. Okay. Now, let us quickly move on to the tip number 9 for today. And yes, this is the most important thing that you have to remember for the GMC principles. Always try to take the care of the patient. After that, maintain the entire professionalism. After that, also maintain the confidentiality of the patient who is reaching at your clinic. And at last, teamwork and communication, which is the most important point for any one of you. At any level, it is mostly required by each of the working professionals. This is going to be the most important part while answering the questions as well during the examination. Okay. Now let us quickly move on to the tip number 9, and let us try to understand about the keyboard shortcuts as well. Now these are some of the keyboard shortcuts that you guys have to remember for. At first, always remember whenever there is a shortcut in front of you, like if you want to use the on-screen calculator, what are you guys going to do? Take the help of Alt plus C to open the entire calculator. If you want to flag a question, use Alt plus F. If you want to answer anything directly, do not use the mouse to scroll through the answers. Instead, you can simply select A, B, C, D on your keyboard and it will automatically take your choice as well. Alt plus V is going to review all of the flagged question. After that, Alt plus P is going to take you back to the previous question. And Alt plus N is going to take you to the next question as well. Always remember, if you are using backspace within the calculator, it is going to entirely wipe each and everything which is written within the calculator. So make sure you guys are pressing the backspace with and you guys are very cautious while using this backspace. Okay. Now let us quickly move on to tip number 10, where there are some of the things that you have to remember while going for the examination. First thing is, always use the flag review option for the questions which you find to be difficult. Okay, that will help you in saving a lot of time, and you can come back to those questions and you can talk about them or try to understand them later. After that, don't leave any question blank. That is going to be the second most important point that we are having here. Whenever you are trying to solve the question, remember that there is no negative marking, and that is why you will be able to solve all of the question, and you should mark each and every question present on the screen. After that, proper review of the mock test should be done. Whenever you attempt a mock test, try to highlight which one of this is your weak point and try to strengthen on it. And if you have a strong topic in front of you, you can simply try to practice some more questions on the basis of it. After that, always make sure that you are not trying to cover a lot of syllabus within a small amount of time. Try to distribute your syllabus entirely into small chunks and then try to finish it. Otherwise, you will start having a lot of burnout due to the entire course structure and the study that you have to follow. You already have a lot of things to cover, and make sure you guys are doing it wisely and also allotting real expectations along with you. Okay. So try to develop a routine where you will be able to get these type of topics into consideration, and with the help of those topics, try to allot a particular amount of time to each section where you will be able to perform better. Okay. So that is it from my side. Thank you so much, guys, for all of the uh, top 10 tips that we have talked about. Now, I am going to call Dr. Ray from Med Entry, who will be telling you guys more about the entire UCAT examination. Okay. He will address how exactly can a student prepare from the uh, base level and how he can reach up to the advanced level as well. Okay, so I would like over to you, Dr. Ray.
Yeah, I would just present the slide. Welcome, Dr. Ray. I hope my screen is visible to you, Dr. Boyapati.
Yes. Hi there. How are you? And thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Sorry, it's a little bit late over here. I'm from Australia, and so it's about midnight. So if I'm a little bit bleary-eyed, you would probably know why. So look, it's a pleasure to be here. I thought I'd just have a couple of slides just to provide you with an opportunity to maybe to ask me some questions. My name's Ray. I am a gastroenterologist, which is like a gut health specialist. I deal with the digestive system. I work here in Melbourne, and I've been a doctor for about 20 years. I founded and run an organization called MedEntry, which is a educational institution that helps people to get into medicine in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and Ireland. So I might just move to the next slide, please, Uvashi. really, I wanted to ask a couple of questions to you, actually, to start. Not you, Avashi, but to the group. Um, so really, what my questions were was about efficiency in UCAT practice, and I think that the thing that I've noticed, and I've been training for people for the UCAT for around a decade now, and for these kind of similar tests, what I notice is that people really are really quite inefficient in their UCAT practice. So you can learn about the strategies on how to succeed, and it sounds like you've been learning some tips here. But when they go to practice on an online platform, which, for example, MedEntry provides, they don't do it in an efficient way. And so they can spend a lot of time, but not actually make the gains that they should be making. So I'm going to ask you the question. And maybe you can put your hand up. What is it about what is it that people do that could make them more efficient in their UCAT training? So, are we able to ask people to put their hand up or maybe put something into the chat of Arshi? What do you think?
I think we could keep the chat box open. I think because we are not allowing the students or the joinees to unmute at the time of the webinar. We keep
Okay,
all the questions towards the end. So at that time, maybe they can. But yeah, I would request the support team to keep the chat panel open.
great. Yeah. So let's start with the chat then. So could we get you to put in some ways that we can be a bit more efficient? What do people think? Anyone got any ideas? And maybe some mistakes that people make, and maybe something that you've been doing. Okay, so great. So Mercedes has started us off there, reflecting on mistakes, and that might be something you want to ask about in the Q&A because it sounds easy enough to do, doesn't it? Just sort of reflect on your mistakes and improve in that way. But actually, what does it mean, and how do you do that? We can talk a bit more about that. Brandon's talked about mock tests, and I think one of the things that I find people do is they don't really start their mock preparation, their full practice exams early enough. So they really leave that to too late. And what they feel like is that they need to learn the UCAT entirely and get really, getting close to 90% or 100% in their bits of practice before they move on to mock tests. But actually and that's the way you would do normal schooling, but actually that's not the right way of doing it for the UCAT, where actually mock tests are part of the improvement process. Not knowing and following the right techniques. And I think that there is a real value in getting a bit of an understanding through going to seminars such as this. I run a webinar-based sort of full-day program in a similar way. There's also on the online platform in MedEntry a full learn section that provides all of that information in video form. Yeah, and Faraz has said time management. The UCAT is essentially a test of time management, isn't it? It's really not being able to being able to do questions quickly because the questions themselves aren't hard. It's just about how you can get through the material really quickly. And being able to allocate time to questions that are certain questions and then maybe skipping questions or leaving them to another go later on by flagging them. These are techniques that are really important, and we call that the triaging and sweeping technique. And analytical functions to understand why answers are wrong. Yeah, exactly. So in MedEntry, we have an analysis area that provides analysis for you based on your timing, on how you're doing in terms of which questions you're getting right or wrong, and then looking at the solutions and working out why you got those wrong, and then trying to make an attempt between now and the next mock test to improve those. So if we could go to the next slide, please, Avashi. I might just move to the next one because that's really good. There's lots of other things that I could talk about there, and I certainly could go on forever. But I don't want to take too much time because I think I've only got a few minutes here. I did want to point to a couple of resources, and so right at the top of the chat box. You can see there's a few links, but there's also one here about free resources. And this can get you started in case you've not got access to things straight away. You just want to give a bit thing, you just want to give something a go, like the MedEntry platform. Feel free to go to this website, and that'll give you all of the resources that we provide for free. I'll pop that in the chat there. And that includes a free mock that gives you a diagnostic ability to get a sense of where you're going. There's a handbook there, there's sample questions and a few other things there. So thank you. We might move to the next slide. Yeah, and I think that this is important. You can scroll through those items there, Vashi, but um, I think it's important to know that what we provide at MedEntry is not just a question bank. We've got all the things that you need if you want. So you can have the question bank side of things, and we've got, obviously tens of thousands of questions. You've got 26 mocks. You've got lots of subtest mocks. But I think instead of just doing lots of questions, what you should be focusing on is the process of learning from those questions. That includes learning about where you got things wrong, like we discussed with the feedback. We've got an AI tutor on their platform that you can use as well that allows you to, interrogate your personal situation, understand a bit further about what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right, what you can focus on, and also for particular questions, if you don't understand the solution, you can ask the tutor to explain it in different ways. And that's called May, and that's quite a unique feature. Error logging is really important, and we built that into our platform. So every question you get wrong, understand why you got it wrong, and then document it within the platform so that you can go back and see, okay, these are the questions that are going to be wrong for this reason. Skills trainers, which are quite unique to MedEntry. We have about 8 or 9 of them, and these are trainers that get you to train a specific skill, like a calculator trainer, for example, a keyword scanning trainer, inference trainer, syllogisms trainer, Venn diagram trainer. So they kind of get you to train skills individually instead of just doing more and more questions, but get skills right and then do more questions. The curriculum's there. I do a workshop. My next workshop, I believe, or actually not exactly sure when that is, but it's in the next couple of weeks, I believe, in September. So if you wanted to pop to the MedEntry website, have a look at those. And there is a code there to get an extra 15% off as a SU Guide student. Just use the SU Guide 15 code to get extra 15% off any of the MedEntry packages. And of course, we have one-on-one tutoring if you would like as well. So all of that's available too. But I did, yeah, if you wanted to ask any questions, I'm very happy to answer them, Avashi. Obviously, you guys have got your webinar that you're running here that have got other things to talk about. So only if I've got time, I'll be very happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for your opportunity.
Thanks a lot. I think the chat box is anyways open. Students can ask the questions. And thank you so much for sharing so many insights, Dr. Boyapati, and sharing what MedEntry offers as a services. It's really great for our students, and they would really make the most out of it, I guess. And of course, we have shared one coupon code, SUG Guide 15. So by using that, you can avail 15% off directly. So that's a great opportunity. And yeah, I think we have some questions.
Yeah, I can see them here. So, how many months do we need to prepare for the UCAT? It's one of those things, isn't it? There's no really one right answer to that. What I can say is that in Australia, we have a bit of a culture for the UCAT to prepare for longer. In Australia, we tend to prepare for 12 to 18 months. And that is a long period of time, obviously, compared to the UK. Some interesting differences there because the way that the UCAT is run in the summer holidays for you, whereas for us, it's during the school year. So we tend to kind of have to do it over a longer period because we can't have that intense study like you guys can. Um, we do tend to do better in Australia because we prepare for longer. So I think what that tells you is that in the UK, what you should be trying to do is distribute your practice for a bit longer than what maybe most people say. Like a lot of people say, like just a couple of weeks is enough. I think you need more than that if you want to optimize your performance. If you if you do practice for a week or two, you'll definitely improve. There's no doubt about it, and you'll get better. But if you want to make it, get to the best ability, the best of your ability, I think a bit longer than that is needed. And more importantly, when you do your practice, you want to be efficient in your practice. So it's not about like how much time or how many questions you do, but are you efficient and you're doing it in the right way? That's probably the big, more important question. Um, what is the ideal date for doing the UCAT? Look, there's no real ideal date. I think it's more a matter for individuals. Some people prefer to do it earlier in the window because they're prepared earlier and they want to get it over and done with and then focus on school. Some people prefer to do a bit later because they give a bit more time. Some people heard about the UCAT or know about the UCAT a bit later. So it's really dependent on you. We know that a lot of people sort of say, look, earlier in the window, the average scores are higher, and that is true, but that's not because the exams you get are different earlier in the window. It's this, there's still 4 to 5 exams, and you'll get one of those randomly, and it's all throughout the window. It's just that the people who do it earlier probably just are self-selecting because they are a bit more prepared. So I don't think it is sort of you shouldn't be choosing to do it at a particular time for that reason. It's more about whether you feel like whether compared to everything else that you've got going on, where should you be placing that UCAT exam? Um, my son's exam is Tuesday. Should he give more tests or review the exam content? Yeah, it's a great question. I think that if you've got an exam in a week's time, let's say, um, really I would be doing a lot of this depends on how much work you've done already, but you should be reducing and reducing the cadence a little bit so that you start to focus a little bit on ensuring that you get all adequate sleep, that you're eating well, that you're keeping active, that sort of thing in the last day or two. Up until then, you should be doing exams, but don't do the exams so frequently that you don't have enough time to review them. Most people would do exam so intensely, especially when they've got a short period of time to do the UCAT preparation, that they're not actually learning from it. The exam is just an opportunity to learn. That's all that is. It's a test for your performance at that particular time, but it's really that's doesn't mean it's meaningless. It's the opportunity to learn from that. And so my suggestion is I prefer students when they say, how many exams should I do? I say, I'd prefer you to do 10 exams and really go through them properly and make sure that you've reviewed them, reflected on them, and then done some little bits of work between those exams than to do 20 exams and not have the opportunity to do that. So, spend more time reviewing than you're actually doing the exams. Are the question styles very similar to the previous year questions, or it varies yearly? That's a good question, Abdul. They're really quite similar to previous years. Every year there's slight changes, and so there'll be an introduction of some very slightly new questions. And that basically they're kind of what we call pre-test questions. The UCAT introduces them, but they basically try to evolve the questions over time, but often they don't even count. So 10% of your questions in the UCAT don't count. You don't know which questions they are, but they bring them in as new questions. They don't count, and they basically then if they perform well, then they can introduce them as actual questions in the following year. So I don't want you to get too stressed about that. 10% of questions don't count. You can't pick which of the ones that are new or not. They're just sometimes the same type of questions, just new questions. Sometimes they're slightly different styles, and they're just testing them out. Efficient way from the UCAT for a month left, I think, Sawalat, it's really about ensuring that you understand the sort of broad categories of questions and how to approach them. So coming to a workshop like this or one of my workshops, going onto the online platform and then looking at the learn section is good. So doing that, but doing that reasonably quickly while practicing. I would really think that you want to start with untimed practice, but moved quickly onto timed practice. As you get a bit more confidence, you don't want to be on untimed practice for too long, because it really does mean that you are practicing for a different test, because really the UCAT is a test of your timing. But starting with untimed and then moving towards time practice quickly, making sure you do mocks early on as well as later on. So, start doing mocks now, like even right from the start, knowing that you're not going to do great in them, that's okay. But it's part of the process of improving is seeing that you don't do well, then going and trying to work out where you should improve, using the skills trainers, using bits of QBank work, practicing to do that work between the mock tests to continue to improve. I could talk about the UCAT all day underwater, so I won't continue because I know you've got the workshop, Yuvashi, that you're continuing to go. You feel free to come and check out the workshop that I run if you want to come and hear from me further. But yes, real pleasure to
Sure.
be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I think a lot of students have asked so many questions. And thank you everyone for asking the questions. If you have any more questions, wait till the end. You can ask more, and you might directly reach out to Boyapati, and you can avail the services that he provides. And of course, use the coupon code as well. I would once again put the coupon code in the chat box. So yeah, thank you so much for joining in, sir. And I would like to carry on forward.
Yep. Really appreciate you inviting me. Thank you so much. I'll go now. Did you want me to hang around, Devashi, or did you want me to leave? I'm happy to do it.
You can definitely stay, not a problem at all.
Okay. I'm happy to stay if you want me to answer some questions at the end. Is that right?
Sure, yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Great. I'll just turn my video off. Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot. So moving on, we have one more message from Alex. He is from MediBuddy. He's the co-founder of MediBuddy. So let me know if you can hear him.
Hi there, my name
Is it audible, guys?
Yes.
All right.
is Alex Travat. I'm a surgeon and the co-founder of MediBuddy. We're a medical education company that contains lots of resources created by doctors and medical students that's designed to help you get into med school and then help you progress through med school and then progress your career as a doctor beyond that. We've got two websites. The first is medistudents.com, which has all of our applying to med school resources. And then after that, we've got medibuddy.co.uk, which helps you with all the med school and onwards. So the most important resource that we probably have for the stage you're at now is our free UCAT question bank. This has been designed to be just like the exam and has thousands of practice questions to help you prepare. It's used by thousands of applicants every year and has everything that you need to score well. You'll see that it's designed to look just like the exam, so you're not caught out on the day. And we've kept it free because we believe that no one should be priced out of a career in medicine. And we want to make sure that no matter what your background, you have access to the best resources going. So to access it, you can find us by Googling MediStudents UCAT, or you can just navigate directly by going to medistudents.com/UCAT. Anyone who uses the UCAT question bank will also receive a monthly newsletter. This is written by current medical students and contains lots of tips on applying and also what it's like to actually be a med student. And when you get invited to interview, we've got lots of guides on the MediStudents website about how to actually approach them. Now, interviews are really stressful, but with the right preparation, it's very possible to do well. So make sure you read through all the information on the website and get as much practice in as possible beforehand. When you do finally get into med school, as you know, there's lots to learn, but our question banks are designed to make life a little bit easier. They're all targeted at the med school syllabus and contain thousands of practice questions and explanations to give you the best chance of passing your med school exams first time. And you can see they're designed to make revision as efficient as possible. Each question contains a concise explanation, so as you work through the question bank over the course of the year, you slowly build your overall knowledge on the topic. So good luck, it's an exciting time, and if you have any questions, please feel free to send us an email at info@medibuddy.co.uk.
Okay, now I would request Akanksha to take on with the following presentation.
Thank you, Urvashi. And am I audible? And I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
Great. So we had an amazing session with Dr. Boyapati and Alex, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We would quickly like to talk to you about our UCAT score calculator and the interview predictor. So SchoolUniGuide, as you know, is a website which guides you to help you find out which is the best course with the best university out there for you. So on SchoolUniGuide, you can hover on the university section, and you can see we have the UCAT score calculator linked over here. So the way this calculator works is basically you can start inputting your residential status. So for example, whether you live in the UK, whether you're looking for a medicine course or a dentistry course, you can then enter the scores that you are expecting in your UCAT examination and the band that you're expecting in your situational judgment section. And with this, you would be able to view the detailed report for your scores. So we have basically created this calculator to tell you which universities you have a low, medium, and then high probability of getting into. So it looks like with the scores that I've just entered, pretty low probabilities, but yes, you can check out our free UCAT score calculator to see your interview call prediction chances. And at the same time, SchoolUniGuide also has a couple of other free tools. So here we have the course finder tool. So for example, you can see we have around 31,000 courses. You can quickly filter them out by the various different types of universities in the UK. You can select the course discipline that you're looking for. And you can also choose the location and the type of degree that you're looking to undertake. And for those of you, we understand how important it is for you to make sure that there's a high return on investment for the university or course that you're pursuing. With that in mind, we have created this median graduation salary filter. So you can input the salary that you're looking forward to have once you graduated, and it would filter out and give you the courses that match the filter settings. And along with this, we would also like to introduce some of our services. So SchoolUniGuide is providing visa counseling services for international students. So if you are a student who lives outside of the UK and you're looking forward to have some guidance on how you can move to the UK, what are the documentations you're required to have, you can get in touch with us for that. In case you're looking to relocate, if you're looking for some sort of guidance on the best accommodations out there, we can help you with that as well. And we can, of course, help you with SOPs and personal statements that you might need for any university and any course that you're looking to apply to. And with this, I would also like to talk about our UCAT Ultimate Preparation Guide. So this is a very interesting and well-made guide that we have created. The purpose that this guide basically serves is to give you an insight into what it would be like to become a doctor in the UK. What can you expect once you graduate? What sorts of salaries? What is the lifestyle like? Lots of very detailed information with lots of on-ground research that has been undertaken to create this guide. And along with this, we are also providing league tables. So we have collated information on the top universities and their courses. And with this league table, you can figure out the course fees if you're an international student, the employment rate that these courses generally show to have, the median salary that you can expect, the overall student satisfaction, and the research and teaching quality in these universities and courses. So do check out SchoolUniGuide Ultimate UCAT Preparation Guide. You can get it here under the university section. Under guides, you can click on this and it would take you to the guide. And for all of you who are attending today's webinar, we have a 25% discount for you. So you can use the code SUG25 and get a flat 25% off on the UCAT guide. So with this, we thank you for attending the webinar. If you have any more questions, although I would like to thank Dr. Boyapati for taking up so many questions from our participants. So if you have any more questions, you can drop it in the chat and we would guide you through it. So Jose has a question. Is the UCAT cutoff this year also going to be near 2,700? So Dr. Boyapati, would you like to take that question?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So obviously the after abstract reasoning was taken out last year, and so sorry, this year, instead of 2,700, 2,800 being it being out of 2,800, sorry, 3,600, it's now out of the lower amount. So it's now out of 3 times 900, which is 2,700. So that's the maximum score you can get for your 3 subtests. Now, situational judgment obviously comes as a band. So now this sort of the numbers for each university vary in terms of the requirements, but the equivalent to 2,700 is about 2,100. I would say it's probably a bit lower than that actually. So 2,050, I would say, is probably my estimate about the equivalent. And that's because abstract reasoning was so highly scored and scaled that the actual number this year, the equivalent number of 2,700 for last year was about 2,050 is what my prediction. In terms of a calculator, so we do have a bit of a UCAT calculator. If you'd like me to share that, I'm happy to do that, which is basically like what score will give you what percentile. Now, this is obviously just an estimation at the moment, but it is available if you'd like me to share that link. Would you like me to do that?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So if you go to this site here, and you can type in a score, and it will give you your predicted UCAT percentile. Now, each university has a different UCAT percentile that they require, a UCAT score that they require. But the important thing is that every university, there are lots of different universities you can apply to, irrespective of your UCAT score. You just need to be able to apply strategically using the resources from your guide, for example, Akansha, and so kind of knowing which universities have sort of high scores required, which universities have low scores required, and then applying strategically depending on your UCAT score. That's really important. So is there, yeah, hopefully that helped. And there is actually also a guide that we're running that this is a bit out of date, but it's about to be refreshed. And so if you check back on this link in a week or two, that provides a bit of an idea about how to apply strategically using your UCAT score. So that'll be refreshed and updated. It's been updated, but it's just going to be relaunched in the next week.
Thank you. So we have a question. I practice verbal reasoning a lot, but my scores keep changing in tests. One day I do well and the next I'm struggling. How can I be more consistent for the exam?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. I always find that the UCAT is very different to school because in school you put in the work and it's like an escalator. You kind of improve at a particular linear rate. depending on how much work you put in. The UCAT's more like a roller coaster. You're up and down a lot depending on a number of different factors. And the difficulty is that, yeah, you can do really well one time and then you do kind of a bit worse, and you can get really disheartened by that performance, that feeling like you're failing or whatever. Um, Really, with the UCAT, it's about having a strategy and a bit of a schedule of work that you follow so that when that downward uh, dip happens, you don't you don't feel that as a failure, but you feel that as a potential for learning opportunity, and what ends up happening is that up and down happens, but it sort of trends upwards. And I think that's the main thing to know. You're not always going to do better every single test, and that's not the point of those scores. The scores are just there to provide you with an idea about where you should then focus your attention for the next little bit of work. And for your verbal reasoning, the focus should not be on the score that you're getting, but where did you go wrong? For example, in that particular verbal reasoning test, was it that you ran out of time on that one more than previous times? And if that happened, why did that happen? Was that because you didn't kind of identify the questions that you probably should have left till the end because they're really difficult, um, and uh, and you maybe left all the questions right at the end of the subtest, which were really quite easy for you, and you could have done those if you had time. Was it because you didn't do some keyword scanning correctly? Was it because you weren't able to do some inference questions and you need to do some work on the inference trainer? So there's lots of different reasons for that. But the two things are, don't focus on the score, focus on the like where you went wrong and then how you can improve it. And the second thing is, don't expect a linear improvement. It's going to be up and down.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Even at SchoolUniGuide and Pi Academy, where we coach students for the 11 plus exams and the GCSE exams, we ask them to focus on their weak areas. So if you think you're consistently or rather inconsistently scoring, it's always good, as Dr. Boyapati said, to see exactly which topics you're struggling with. Perhaps it's only those question types which are the reason behind your low scores. So yeah. We have another question. Sometimes I panic when giving practice tests and make mistakes. How can I manage last minute test anxiety?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, actually, the doing tests online, doing with the practice bank, question bank, that can be anxiety provoking in and of itself, just because I think most often people fear the failure, right? You fear the fact that you're going to do poorly, and what does that mean after doing all this work? This is, such an important test. What I want you to do, Anjali, this is easier said than done, but it is important. I find that I've tutored high achieving students for 20 plus years, um, and everywhere in the world, whether it's in US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, um, everyone's got the same mindset, which is that if you do poorly, then it means that you're gonna fail and you're a failure. Actually, in the UCAT, if you do poorly, that is part of the process. You've kind of just got to realize that that is fine to do poorly in your practice tests. That's going to be part of the process to get better. On the day of the test itself, I think that's a different story. That's obviously being able to manage that stress and anxiety, and you need to work out strategies for yourself. Part of it, I think, is ensuring that you understand where the testing venue is. You can visualize that. You do some strategies. I always suggest, for example, journaling on the morning of the test. I think it's a really good way to unload a lot of stress. Um, Ensure that you realize that this is an important test, but it's not the only test that can get you into medicine, and that even despite whatever score you get, you can still get into medicine, whether it's this application cycle or another. That's really important to kind of relieve some of that stress as well. And if you're really wanting to kind of get a bit of an idea of how the test runs, we actually run a in-person. This is the first time we're running a Kansha. We've run it twice now. We've got one in Birmingham tomorrow actually, and we've got one in London next weekend. We ran one in London on the 8th of August. First time anyone's done it in an in-person testing center. So if you're interested in that, feel free to pop over to that website, and you can enroll in that one. It's kind of cool because you go into the testing center, you get, you know, you get registered, you have to put all your stuff away, you get a noteboard, you get a pen. It's actually running in a Pearson's kind of venue. So, it's a nice way to really make sure that the day's nerves you kind of get through that, so that when you actually do it on the day, you don't have all of that anxiety. We found the students are finding it useful.
That's great. So with this, because we've overrun our time, I would like to just thank you all for joining the webinar. Those of you who still have questions, we would be sharing MedEntry's website on our post-webinar email, so you can get in touch with Dr. Boyapati directly. You can ask all your questions there. And yes, we will be sharing the recordings as well, so you can go through everything that has been discussed. So thank you so much for joining, and do make sure that you use SUG25 code to get a 25% off on SchoolUniGuide's subscriptions, and use the code SUGuide15 to get 15% off on MedEntry's products. So we have shared the codes with you again. You can see here, MedEntry, it's SUGuide15. And for SchoolUniGuide, you can avail a SUG25 25% off on SchoolUniGuide. So thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Ray, and have a nice, good evening, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.